Hello, and welcome back to another analysis of Deadlock hero archetypes. In this series, I look at classic literary archetypes and analyze how Valve takes these archetypes and does them differently than how they've typically been depicted in decades past. Today's topic that we will be looking at is vampires. Vampires are one of the most popular folklore monsters throughout history, and in my comment sections in previous videos. The word vampire dates as far back as the late 1600s, though most place the word's origin to the early 1700s. Many cultures have their own depictions of vampires, of which the characteristics change from culture to culture drastically. But for the sake of simplicity, we'll be focusing less on the mythological origins of vampires and more on the literary depiction of vampires. Even in literature, vampire traits change from author to author, but some of the most common include the following: the consumption of blood, oftentimes as a source of power for things like rejuvenating effects and immortality, the ability to shapeshift into bats and other animals. Oftentimes vampires show an innate weakness to sunlight, oftentimes needing to sleep during the day. Oftentimes vampires will sleep in coffins. They will often have a lack of reflection to mirrors and other objects that would typically show reflection, and having a weakness to wooden stakes to the heart, but who doesn't? And lastly, the ability to turn a human into a vampire with a bite from a vampire. With this general understanding of vampires, we can now look at our Deadlock counterparts of this trope, starting off with Mina. There are many different subgenres of vampires, and the one that Mina shares the most characteristics with is the Blood Countess. It should be mentioned that the origin of the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory, was not a vampire in any regard. That being said, the Blood Countess trope has been applied to multiple fictional vampires since then, and the trope being able to be applied to vampires does fit Mina. This trope requires a few things. They are always female, they are dirty rich, and they are usually evil and selfish. A lot of times I have a hard time figuring out how Deadlock heroes relate to their classical archetypes, but Mina is basically a one-to-one with this trope. She obviously fits the first one, being a woman. She also fits the second characteristic of being rich. We can see it's very plainly spelled out to us in the first line of her bio, which highlights the fact that she had rich parents and an elite education. This is backed up by a few voice lines, one of them being through an interaction where Graves eliminates Mina, implying that she went to the same school that Graves currently attends, Blackmore Academy.
I hate Blackmore alumni.
Blackmore Academy being known as a school exclusively for the extremely wealthy and talented.
How can I get a jacket like yours?
Do you have rich parents?
No.
Are you the best at anything?
Sleeping.
You're not getting a jacket like this. Sorry.
We can also see a nod to this in the form of Mina's weapon name, which is called New Money. As for the third characteristic, we can definitely see that Mina is incredibly mean and evil. And I want to make it clear that I'm not saying this because I don't like Mina. I actually like Mina as a character quite a bit. I even have her as my phone wallpaper, but I can unbiasedly say that it's very plainly spelled out to us that she is supposed to be mean and evil. She's rude to virtually everybody she interacts with, here being just a few of many examples.
Oh my god, I think that cat was their only friend. That is so sad. Your grandkids are dead, I get it. Go buy a dog. No one likes you, Ivy. They're just pretending.
There is one exception to this being Geist, who she presumably looks up to due to the fact that she is a fellow rich woman who drains the life from other people.
I don't care that she tried to kill me. Lady Geist is amazing.
Now, there is an additional trait with the Blood Countess trope that only sometimes applies, that being that she is an actual countess, meaning she's married to royalty. While never married to royalty, Mina was set up to marry into the Fairfax family through her arranged marriage with Aaron Fairfax, spawn of Maximilian Fairfax, current head of Fairfax Industries. Fairfax Industries is the largest and wealthiest military industrial companies that we know of in the world of Deadlock. One of the ways that we know this is through McGinnis, who works at Fairfax and states that she is paid quite well by them.
Do I love working for Fairfax Industries? No. Does it pay a small fortune? Yes. How do I sleep at night? Like a baby.
We can also see in-game that they make books, the artillery weapons section of the shop, and their logo is printed on the back of my head, as well as all the other boxes that you see during the ritual. Mina's bio says that her arranged marriage would ascend her from run-of-the-mill upper class to American royalty, and had she married into the Fairfax name, she would have been as close as one could get to being actual royalty. Mina was close to living out her dream until the assassination of her betrothed. Aaron Fairfax, or as we know them in-game as Pocket, was shot for dead on their 18th birthday and assumed to have been killed. With the assumed death of Pocket, Mina was devastated, not at the death of her fiancé, but that she was no longer able to marry into the top of the American social hierarchy. It's clear just how important the status alone was via this line in her bio stating, "Why couldn't the killer just wait until after the wedding? Then she'd have the last name she always dreamed of, and no one would even have to pretend to love anyone." When her dream of power through marriage had failed, she went to her parents to fix it. Mina's bio states, Mr. and Mrs. Ha knew that the only way to appease their daughter was to offer her something greater than what she had lost, and marrying into one of the world's most lauded families was a tall order to top. They had to think big. They had to think outside the box. They had to promise their daughter immortality. This is where we see Mina enter the world of vampires. While it wasn't cheap, Mina's parents were able to find a vampire willing to turn her, giving her eternal youth as a compromise. Once Mina entered the vampire high society, she realized that the status she held in the human world carried no weight in the vampire world. With this, she became determined to change this, even stating as much.
I'm tired of being at the bottom of the vampiric social ladder.
Before her transformation, Mina was rich, powerful, and said to be at the top of the human hierarchy. But now that she's entered the world of vampire society, she intends to rise to the top once again. Mina's solution to this issue was to complete the ritual and become the Viscount of New York. The Viscount is essentially the head of vampire society, and Mina intends to take her place at the only position she believes she deserves to be, on top, human or vampire. Mina believes that becoming the Viscount is her destiny,
Today I fulfill my destiny.
as it would be a way to rise to the very top of the vampire hierarchy. But there are many people who have been doing this much longer than her, with a lot more experience. With her being so young literally, as well as so new to vampirism, this will pose quite a challenge, which is why she is participating in the ritual, to become the Viscount by any means necessary. While Mina is very new to the world of vampirism, and is still getting acclimated to vampire high society, our other vampire ritual participant has been familiar with vampirism much longer, and has no interest in the poise that high society vampires partake in, bringing us to talk about Drifter. While Mina is a fledgling vampire, meaning she's been recently turned into a vampire, Drifter has been a vampire for what appears to be centuries. This is partially seen by the fact that he refers to the cursed apple as New Amsterdam.
The elders of New Amsterdam are soft, clinging to archaic titles like they grant them real power.
This dates Drifter as far back as 1665, as New Amsterdam is what is now known as Lower Manhattan was referred to by the Dutch before the British overtook it and renamed it New York. Drifter is implied to be from Louisiana, both through his Cajun accent and through a line from the shopkeeper.
You Louisiana boys know how to party.
We can also see that Drifter has most likely traveled from Louisiana to the Cursed Apple, as he mentions such in a conversation with Bebop.
You look a little rough around the edges, mate.
Been traveling a long way to get here. Haven't had time to rest up and get a proper meal.
Drifter seems to have traveled all this way to the Cursed Apple to participate in the ritual, but shows no interest in summoning the patrons.
Fact of the matter is, I do this for free. The patron's gift is just a bonus.
Drifter instead seems to only be participating in the ritual for the pure purpose of inflicting carnage on others. The specific vampire trope that Drifter fits into is the feral vampire trope. The feral vampire is one who lives outside of the typical human societal ideals, even those held by the wealthier vampire elites. Drifter shows his feral nature through a constant desire for violence. And when I say that he talks about it constantly, I can't emphasize this enough. I can show you a few voice lines, but there are so many that if we really wanted to look at this, we could be here for a while. But for the sake of making my point, I'll show a few.
Every single one of them are gonna die. By the time I'm through with them, the cops won't be able to identify the body. Let's see what your insides look like.
Drifter seems to not only take joy in the killing of his victims, but he loves the hunt too. Many of Drifter's abilities revolve around stalking and hunting people. Drifter also seems to take real, genuine enjoyment in specifically the pain and suffering he causes his victims.
Did you do it? Wesley, if I was gonna murder your grandkids, we both know I would have tied you down and made you watch.
Stating multiple times that he gets no satisfaction in killing ritual participants who are not actually alive or are already dead.
Machines are so less satisfying to kill. It ain't no fun when you're just putting someone out of their misery. Not as much fun when they're already dead.
It's also possibly implied that he eats his victims as well.
Let's get this show on the road. I'm feeling peckish.
Drifter goes by Drifter for the fact that he doesn't believe he needs a name, only a description. A wandering drifter who travels from place to place, inflicting carnage wherever he goes.
I never had much use for a name. Names are for people who want to be remembered. Me? My existence is like gravity or time. A concept that you fear but you cannot escape. I simply am.
Despite not having a name to go by, Drifter is very well known, stating that he's exactly who you think he is.
Oh, I'm exactly who you think I am.
Additionally, Drifter's presence is so well known that there are multiple organizations that appear to want him dead. One of these organizations is the Vatican, who sends out Venators to hunt monsters. We know the Vatican has tried to kill Drifter before, as he mentions the failure of other Venators when killing Quinn, the Venator that we know who participates in the ritual.
How many of your order do I gotta kill before you realize you can't stop me?
Drifter also interacts with retired members of the monster hunting group known as the Baxter Society, mostly asking them if they are hunting him. The only two he talks to, those being Grey Talon and Calico, are retired and don't have a concrete answer for him.
What are the boys and girls at the Baxter Society gonna say about us working together?
I wouldn't know. I'm retired.
I see the Baxter Society is sending their B team to help me. How could I forget? You're a scary killer now.
This could be due to the fact that these two members are retired and genuinely don't know, or are intentionally keeping this information away from him. However, it is implied that the Baxter Society has been after Drifter at one point through a voice line from when Silver kills Drifter.
I did what the Baxter Society couldn't.
Drifter also asks Hayes if the Occult Security and Investigation Commission, commonly known as the OSIC, is after him, to which Hayes not only denies this, but says that if they were, he'd be dead.
OSIC finally coming for me?
No, we're using you. If we were coming for you, you'd already be dead.
What's interesting about the OSIC is that in a line where Mina kills Hayes, she says that vampires are a protected species, possibly meaning that even if the OSIC wanted to, they wouldn't have the legal jurisdiction to kill Drifter.
I'm not worried about the OSIC. Vampires are a protected species.
Drifter also seems to be in bad faith with the Vampire High Society, a line in his bio even plainly stating, Viscounts and elders cry for his execution. Additionally, the Soul Urn even seems nervous just being around Drifter, worried that the Viscount and Vampire High Society will find out that he was with him.
Does Simon know you're here? Because I don't want the Municipal Coven to get in trouble with the Viscount.
While Mina's goal is to move her way up in the Vampire High Society, Drifter rejects it altogether. When he kills Mina in-game, he'll say the following lines about the Vampire High Society.
The Vampire Nation is a Ponzi scheme, Mina. The sooner you realize that, the better. God, I hate civilized vampires.
What makes Mina and Drifter very interesting depictions of vampires is that despite the fact that they are both vampires, they juxtapose each other so much in their traits and how they're depicted. Mina, who's a very new and young vampire with very little experience, but desires all of this power and recognition, versus a much, much older vampire who doesn't even want people to know him by a name. A vampire who's not only used to the lifestyle of the rich upper class, but desires to go even higher since joining the Vampire High Society, versus a vampire who's so completely removed from all societal norms of both humans and the monsters he shares his bloodlust with. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Deadlock Lore Analysis. This is the last video I'm making before the start of my last college semester, so future videos will come out whenever I'm able to get to them. The next few topics I want to talk about are all on a much smaller scale, so I'll likely be able to upload them semi-regularly, but wanted to mention that just in case I'm not able to. This one was probably the last big project video so next few shouldn't take as long. Anyways, thanks for watching.